I'm Sparkle Anderson, your Public Information Officer, and you're watching the Mayor's annual State of the City address.
You know, as we go through the process of what Pearland is today, you know, we were founded 118 years ago as a town site, would you believe that? And we became a city as what they call an incorporated city 53 years ago. Well, a lot's happened in that 53 years. Census tells us, not the chamber, not our public relations director in the city, Chamber said that we are the third largest city by population in the Gulf Coast area behind Houston and Pasadena, and that we're the second fastest growing in the state of Texas, and that we're 15th fastest growing in the nation. If you don't believe it, get on 518 or 288. You will then get the word. How are we stacking up by population? Now, I moved here in 1965, but in 1960, we had 1,500 people. Would you believe that? I moved here, we had 4,000. I think we exaggerated it a little bit. Counted our pets and uncles up at Lake Livingston. We lumped it all together so we looked pretty important. But look where we are today, 97,000 people. And if you include Silver Lake Country Place and Alexa Country Place, we're about 126,000 people inside of our footprint. You say, well, what is that footprint? Well, the footprint is a picture like this. Now, people don't really realize that we're actually in 3 counties. Off to the left are Fort Bend County, we're in Harris County, and also we're in Missouri County. That's what our footprint looks like. That footprint, with the next chart, will show you that we are 74 square miles, and 48 of those square miles are inside of our city limits. That means those 48 square miles, if you live in that, you can vote for me, I hope. That leaves about 26 square miles out there that is not inside of our city limits, but will be annexed in future years. So looking at that, the yellow is inside the city limits. If you're in the yellow spot, you're inside our city limits. And the orange sort of mustard color, I guess you'd call that, is in our ETJ, which is in the process of being annexed over the next several years. Well, to run this city, we've got to have a good city council. And I want to tell you, you have chosen wisely when you selected this city council. I'm very proud of what they have accomplished over the years, and I've been able to have a sense of strong pride in what they have done as city councilmen working for you. City management is something very important to any city, any organization, and we're blessed with having 3 very fine individuals. Of course, Bill Eisen is our longtime city manager, and both Mike Hodge and John Branson as assistants. Bill of the 3 is an employee of the city. We evaluate him, and Bill Eisen evaluates and hires all the other people in the community. Got some key guys coming in. Daniel Baum, EMS Director, Sparkle Anderson, and Chief Riley. Well, you've learned a little bit about Pearland, so why don't we have a little pop quiz? We've been here about 20, 30 minutes, so it's time to go to work before you go on recess. When was Pearland founded? 1894, that's right. When was Pearland actually incorporated as a city? 1959. Did you know that? That was 53 years ago I was talking about. Who was the first mayor in Pearland? That guy sneaked in a little early on me. How many mayors have served in Pearland? You know that? 7, lucky number. When was the current city hall dedicated? 1985. That was a good year. When was the library dedicated? 1999, did you know that? We're beginning to put together a big city. How many fire stations do we have in Pearland area?
5.
5? 6. 5 inside the city limits, 1 in the ETJ at the Lakes of Savannah. Station number 6 down there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And how many Alvin Independent schools do we have in Pearland and our ETJ combined? 5 of them, right. We have 1 elementary school in the Lakes of Savannah. So that makes you 6. Last year it was 4. So managing our finances is a very important factor, and our city council and staff have done a good job being good stewards of the financial plan that we have in place. And if you look at the property tax history, look off further left there. 1989, we had 82-cent tax rate. Did you know that? 82-cent tax rate. Went down considerably. This year it's up 2 cents, and some pretty good reason for that. Something called debt service. We had to do something about the rapidly growing Pearland and the fact that we have such a fast growing and a special need for capital improvements. We had to float bonds to do that. 2001, 2007. We did not at that time charge onto our tax rate the debt service for those bond ratings that we had and bond issues that we had to put. But it kind of caught up with us over the years. The combined debt service in our 2001, 2007 bond issue, coupled with a downturn, required us to go to 2 cents this year. And I would suspect over the coming years that we may have possibility of having to raise modestly some tax rates in the future. How do we rank in other cities? Well, it's kind of interesting. Alvin is way above us, Port's way above us. The other league city, Pasadena, Friendswood are down below us. But you know, being ranked the 3rd highest in that group right there, none of the other cities have the tremendous rate of growth that we have experienced in Pearland. Our rate, and I told you about that a little earlier, we're the 2nd fastest in the state, 14th fastest in the nation. I think we've done a pretty good job at this point. Sales tax started out in 2007 with us, and you can see we've sloped up. If you notice this past year, the 2012 budget, 11 and 12 budget, we're looking at 20.2% tax rate, which is what happened last year. So we're moving back upward to where we are, trying to catch up with 2008. Now, of that sales tax rate, 1/3 of that goes to Matt Buchanan and his Pearland Economic Development Corporation for economic development. Who's the person that takes care of all of this for us? Well, Government Finance Officers Association gives out a very special recognition award. Excellent in financial reporting, 34 years. Distinguished budget presentation, 24 years. And Clara Bogart is the finance director. And stick your hand up over Clara. She does a superb job. We used to call her money bags. She lost the bag somewhere, but we're getting it back. Next slide. Those, you know, the highest rating you can get is a AAA. Well, Standard & Poor's and Finch said did pretty good on general obligation bonds, water and sewer revenue. I think we're doing dang well with the rate of growth that we have at Pearland. Rapid growth means that you have a lot of expenditure for things that you don't normally have in a mature city. We are a long way from being a mature city where we're going to have to sit and figure out what are we going to do next with the money we're bringing in. Well, when you say Pearland is growing, and it is, Pearland is something kind of different. Why are we different? What did we do at some point in our development that made us a little special? Well, I'll have some items that I think I want to share with you. We made a lot of good decisions back in the early days after we became a incorporated city. And not only did we make some good decisions, but we also went in the process of implementing them to make our city prepared for future growth. And I'd like to share some of those items with you. One of the things we did was develop Pearland as a planned community. We're one of the few cities that wrote into our charter a zoning ordinance and the City Planning Commission. That's important. We established a water and sewer impact ordinance, fee ordinance. What that means is, if you come in with a new development, you're going to have to tie into the existing system. We charge a fee to offset the impact to that system with a water and sewer impact fee. It has worked great for us, and cities that have not had it have had trouble getting bond issues passed. And what we're doing is letting people who come in and develop pay for their own service that they're impacting to the system. We established a 74 square mile footprint. To me, that is one of the most important things we did. If you're going to grow, you've got to have room to grow into. If you're going to grow, you have to have space. We locked in that 74 square miles in the early years, and a number of our neighboring cities are locked in. They can't grow anymore. They could have if they had chosen to do so because the land was open a number of years in the past. We also did something that I think is very special. I know Helen Beckman has been an advocate of this, and I hear about her all the time. She tunes in about quality of life, and also all of our organizations in our community. We decided that we needed to provide a safe, stable community and all of the quality amenities that we could put in place. We're working on that. We established an aggressive capital improvements program. And if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we are today as the second fastest in the nation, Texas and the 14th fastest in the nation. We put in place infrastructure in advance of the growth that we experienced. That was an important thing we did. We planned for adequate water for the future, and we're going to talk about water a little bit later in some of the slides. But we did combine our surface water acquisition opportunities with the groundwater that we had in place. That's an extremely important thing that we did at that point. Well, let's see what makes Pearland better. We know that whatever we put in place today is going to be the impetus of where we're going in the future. And we've had a good professional staff. We've had a great council that's been working with strong leadership in making the proper type decisions. And we've also had a community that has felt that they are a part of the process and they are participating in that process. And we're proud of what we're doing today. Economic development, you know, we did a third of our sales tax goes to Matt Buchanan and his Pearland Economic Development Corporation. Rice Neely, the company is located on, if you go on South 35 at the Industrial Boulevard, you see this 120,000 square foot brand new building. Isn't that great? They're going to bring in over 100 employees for that. They came over from Sulphur, Louisiana. Merit Medical. Merit is right next to the CSI on Pearland Kirby Drive. They're going to bring in 220 employees, and they are doing something that's very special. They have a worldwide manufacturing and distribution center of medical supplies, and we're impressed. That's a beautiful building. It's going to go in place right next to the CSI building on Kirby. And I guess one of the crown jewels we have is Kelsey Seabolt has come into Pearland. They're moving into a 170,000 square foot complex. They're going to bring in 750 employees. Man, I tell you, that was a coup for us, and it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. They have been the model for medical systems in America, and they came to Pearland to put their administration building. They're going to keep their other facilities down near the medical center. When I stop and think about those three, let's run back through those three again. Breast, okay, 100 employees. Medical, 220 employees. Kelsey Siebold, 750 plus. That's over 1,000 employees we brought in this past year. I think that is something very special. Next slide. We also have a particular unique architectural facility going in on Kirby Drive. It's the Pearland Surgery Center, and it's 100% owned by physicians. And we're looking forward to that being completed, I think, in April. And it's something going to be very special for all of us because it's going to set the pattern for growth on Kirby Drive, joining CSI and Merit Medical. So, let's talk a little bit about public safety. Well, that's important to me personally. It's important to you personally. And when you bring businesses in like we just talked about, they want to see these particular slides. They want to know that we have 138 sworn police officers, and 87 of those are out on the street. Now, that's for the 48 square miles. We're going to have to add more if we're going to add X, and of course that's going to be something we'll face in the future. Chief Doyle said that last year we had a 2% reduction in the crime rate. And you know something special, we can brag a lot. I think the chamber can tell about how great we are. But read that, it says FBI in their 2011 National Crime Statistic Report of 400 US cities over 100,000 in population showed that Pearland's crime rating in 2011 is the sixth safest of the 25 cities listed in that top 400. And we're the 45th safest in the 400 listed nationally. I think that is important. I think that is important because if you don't have safety, you don't feel comfortable with being in the community. And that's one of the first things they always ask is, what's your safety record? Exciting. Well, got a couple officers I want to introduce you. Officer K9 Nancy on the left. It's kind of hard to see her there. She's snugged up next to Martin. But they were able to sniff out a drug issue that wound up in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. And the results was a $800,000 drug bust because of Officer Nancy. On the right is Officer K9 Buddy, and there's something when you go to a fire, you want to check around and see what caused that thing. It's an accelerant if you know what an accelerant, that's gasoline or coal oil or something like that they throw in there and light it. This particular dog is, this particular officer. This particular officer is, and his leader, wonderful leader, Greg, they were selected as the leader of the pack of the national awards for the most efficient detection team in that particular conference. We're not going to the dogs, we're upgrading to officers of higher quality. Next slide. Pearland Fire Department. You saw the chief stand up over a while ago. We have 40 full-time, 24 part-time, and 50 volunteers. We're actually going from an organization that was founded in 1946. The guys came back from World War II, and they did several things. They founded the Lions Club. They all got together, went over and founded the Volunteer Fire Department. And that they have done a superb job for us all of these many, many years. And we're now going to a transitional phase in which we want to try to combine the departments into paid and volunteer staff. Emergency medical. We have, you know, when you start talking about emergency medical, for years we had a volunteer group. And if you've ever been on an emergency medical run as a volunteer, it just tears you up. They used to go home and just sit and just, some of them would just kind of have tears in their eyes with the results of wrecks and particular problems that they would run into. But we've had to try to move into a more professional. So right now we have 39 full-time and 18 part-time, all paid employees. That's a great organization, and I tell you, you don't want to have a problem, but if you ever do, you want them coming over to help you out. Next slide. Public safety. We talked about that 6th fire station a while ago. Well, that's what it looks like. It's a partnership between the Lakes of Savannah and the city, and it'll be open for business the first part of this next month. So that will be our 6th one. We're going to have several more of those as the city grows and we annex into some of the other areas. Next slide. We're blessed with fire stations and a lot of other things, but we also have a railroad track that comes right down by Highway 35, which is Main Street. And we had about 9 different crossings, but we were able to either close a couple of the crossings permanently, put overpasses in 3 other locations, and we're down to 3 streets that you have to cross with a drop arm when a train comes by. Well, there is an opportunity that we took advantage of, and it's called a quiet zone. And this right here I think is on Walnut Street. If you drive from 35 over the railroad track, you'll see these it's an obstruction so that you can't get by the arm when it goes down. So the engineer of the train feels comfortable in leaving the full throttle going through Pearland and not have to honk his horn. Those are in place, and as soon as we finish 35, all of those will be open and we'll have this new quiet zone operation in place. We've got several projects, transportation under control. We've got, first one up here is McHard Road. If you get over on Cullen Boulevard, you can get on what is called McHard Road and head toward 288. That's open. When you get on the other side of 288, it's called McHard Road or Shadow Creek Parkway. That has been finished as a 4-lane boulevard, and if you haven't driven on that, you need to go out and look at it. It's going to be fantastic. So those are complete. Main Street from Beltway, that's TxDOT. If you've been on 35 Main Street, I think you understand the problems we have with trying to put in place transportation arterials that we need for the growth of our city. If we weren't growing so fast, we wouldn't need all those 6, 8 lanes we're going to be putting in, actually 7 lanes. Looks like it's going to be finished in 2013. We have something called the Adaptive Traffic Signal Improvements. When you're under 50,000 population, the state takes care of your traffic signal lights. Well, we're over 50,000 population. We just inherited a bunch of lights. So we are working on specifically from Sunrise Lakes entrance all the way to 288 right now. There are a bunch of others we have to work on in the future. The Park and Ride, Metro picked up 15 acres on 288, and it looks like we might be able to get us something going sometime in the next year, maybe as we proceed through that process. Read the papers, and had an article in the paper today. Water is going to be a very critical element for cities that want to grow in the future or remain where they are today. We did some very smart things. We prepared for the future by securing our surface water We put in place a good, strong conservation effort, and we have 18 wells, and so we feel like we're doing the right thing, and we're making some good progress. And show you where we are in the water for the future. We've actually acquired rights to 54 million gallons per day from various sources. Brazos River, 20 million. Southeast Water Plant, we're getting 10 million of treated surface water there. We have 6 million that's available out at Shadow Creek Parkway at 521. You'll see the ground storage take point out there. We're getting 6 million gallons from them. And our 18 million that we have in the ground wells that we have now. But we've made a decision that we're not going to drill any more groundwater wells. I think that's a good policy for us. We feel like that moving the surface water is the right thing to do. We do plan to treat the Brazos River water. If you go to Texas City, Galveston, League City, that's Brazos River water they treated that you're drinking. We're going to do this, put the same type of plan in and treat that water when we need it in the future. We have a water line that's connecting us between the Southeast Water Plant over by Ellington Air Force Base, and it's in and it's complete, been treated, and we have a 5 million gallon storage tank. Pearland is a people place. We've worked pretty hard to make it a very special town, and people come here for the very reasons that we are offering them, quality schools, small town atmosphere and so forth. And when you have about 136,000 people coming into a city, we must be on the right track. I think we're making progress, and I think we're doing what needs to be done to meet our needs to make you a very special citizenry from a very special community. Exciting. The Planning Department has been awarded the 2011 Certificate of Achievement by the Planning Excellence, and for the 5th time, incidentally. And they also did something that's very special, and that's the Scenic City Award and certification, which is the next slide. This is a Scenic City certification that says that when you drive into town, it looks pretty. It's mowed, you have trees, you have landscaping and things of that type. And we're one of only 28 cities in the state of Texas that have been designated as a scenic city, and I think that's kind of important. We're trying to put in place all of the little elements to make us kind of special, and I think that's a very special thing. And we're also one of 8 in Texas that have been awarded the gold level, and the staff is working pretty hard to try to make it up to the platinum. There's only two cities in the state of Texas that have awarded the platinum level, so we're working on it. Next slide. Tree City, USA. Now, I'm a tree person. I grew up with trees, used to climb in them, fall out of them. We're one of 72 cities in Texas that have received the Texas Tree City USA Award. And we did that because we adopted an advisory committee that works with a tree ordinance, a pretty strict tree ordinance, if you know our development in Pearland. And right now we have 6,343 identified, inventory, and maintained trees at Pearland. By public trees, I mean on parks, esplanades, on city property. That doesn't count the tree in your front yard necessarily. And we also are required, and we do recognize all National Arbor Day events and tree planting events. We have trees for Pearland. You know, if you're going to be a city of the future, you need to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Because we're part of Texas, that's pretty good. But we have created the second largest historical district in the state of Texas, which is the San Jacinto Texas Historical District. It's designed to recognize and commemorate the Battle of San Jacinto. And the district includes Pearland because we were in the staging area. And if you're familiar with this part of the country, there are a number of cemeteries that have Texas Revolutionary veterans buried in their cemeteries, which is something very special. And a lot of people don't really recognize that. And the Battle of San Jacinto, when it was fought and won by Texas, was recognized as one of the 10 top battles that changed the course of history and really made the American dream of being a continent, a waterfront on the east to a waterfront on the West Pacific Ocean, a reality because of what we acquired in that particular battle. Next slide. That's what it looks like right there. We went to a process of saying, we have this wonderful second largest historical district in Texas. Well, what are you going to do with all of it? We decided to put some markers out there, some monuments. And we've got one of them working right now. I'll show you a picture of it in a few minutes. But the idea was that if we put the Project STARS monuments, which is part of the Economic Alliance of the Houston-Port region, and we went through the process of putting one on Pearland Parkway just before we get the bridge going over to the Beltway. And the star at the top, if you look at it, the star at the top is the same design of the star at the top of the monument and on at the Center Monument. And the funding for that was a grant from both the Houston Galveston Area Council and Economic Alliance of the Houston-Port region. Pearland STARS Monument, but I think it does several things. We're a city of the future, but we're looking at the past. We honor those who were able to pave the way for us to become a very special state. And if you drive down Pearland Parkway, right now it has some scaffolding around it, but that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. And it's going to be something very special. And it so happens that Kristen Otto was the planning person on the Project STARS project that we have. Every one of the cities that is part of the district, historical district, will have one of these type monuments. Maybe a little bit different. This was our choice of what we wanted ours to look like. And you go to some of the other cities and it will be a little different. Exciting. Keep Pearland Beautiful. Founded in 1982. I didn't think that she was quite that old, but they received the Keep Pearland Beautiful First Affiliate Award fourth time from the national organization, Keep America Beautiful, and that's for cities over 50,000 population. And that organization has done a superb job, and I'm very appreciative of what they do. This is a couple of pictures of where we are. This is a community park that they're putting in. Of course, that's part of a function that Keep Pearland Beautiful has been put on. When you talk about a city, you talk about quality of life, you talk about good things, schools, colleges and things. We have a superb independent school district. We got let me set the stage a little differently. Our footprint contains 6 different school districts. They were there all the time, but when we annexed over the top of 6 different school districts. There are only 2 of them really active. One of them is the independent school district, and we'll cover the other one in a few minutes. Working with a district that has 21 out of 23 schools either exemplary or recognized, and Dawson High School, Newsweek said that of the 500 best high schools in the nation, Dawson was the 332nd on the list. And I think that's something very special, and John is going to be able to work with that. And something else, with all of the problems with funding for schools, they've done something very special. They have received, for the second time, the state controller's 5-star rating, which is, makes them 1 out of 46 out of 100, out of 1,000 school districts in the state of Texas for achieving the strongest and best academic progress for the least cost. And when the state comptroller does that, that's the truth, because they are the ones that control the money. I tell you, that's great. I appreciate that. We have another school district in Pearland. It's Alvin Independent School District. I say, where is it? Well, 288 kind of divides us. Everything east of 288 is in Pearland Independent School District. Everything kind of west of 288 is the Alvin Independent School District. And I don't know that Dr. Brent, did Dr. Brent show up, have a chance? I think he has some activity over in Alvin at the present time too. But he came in March of last year, had a chance to meet with him. He's a fine gentleman. They have close to 4,000 students in Pearland, and have three elementary and one junior high inside city limits in Shadow Creek, the Lakes of Savannah, and our ETJ has one elementary school. They are also listed as either exemplary or recognized, and they have, if you go out where the Fire Station 5 is, which is right across from Dillard's at Pearland Town Center, they're going to be putting in a high school in the future. They bought 72 acres out there, and be right across the street from Dillard's, right behind the fire station and overhead water storage tank. Pearland Theater Guild is sort of an off-Broadway type organization. They have superb type of plays and programs. I have been very impressed. They also do the Pearland Idol. If you haven't been familiar with that, there's one coming up in the process right now. And the Back Porch Production Group, they're the ones that use the young actors to do, mostly all kids under 12, and a couple of adults to kind of carry the theme a little bit, whatever the theme is. They have done a superb job. They've got some plays coming up this month, I think, and this next month. Pearland Arts League, we have the Carks and Canvas over at the Rec Center, the first Saturday of every month. And they encourage and support all the farm arts in all forms in the community. And we're going to be hearing more and more about arts as we develop as a city of the future and destination city. Exciting. Pearland campus. What we did, we had 40 acres out on Pearland Parkway. We made a deal with the University of Houston Clear Lake, and they put their campus out here. So we built our first building on that 40 acres. So it'd be our first building in the process. And Matt Buchanan, not missing a bet, put his offices out there on the campus so there'd be a little synergy between the two organizations. Smart move on his part. I think we'll develop it profitably for both of us in the future. Classes started in 2010, so we've only been in business for a year and a half. And already we've got close to 800 students out there, either baccalaureate or doctoral classes, master's or doctoral. And one of the things that the campus is designed to do, it has junior, seniors, masters, and doctoral classes designed for junior college students to finish their 2 years, move over to our campus. And it's been working, and I think the next slide will show you a couple of the candidates right there, a couple of young people there that came out after night classes. Hike and bike trails. Phase 1 of the hike and bike trails is starting at the Centennial Park and it's going west. That's one of the picnic areas right there. There'll be the park, and then there'll be a little area about the size of this circle I'm sitting in here. And there'll be covered over, and there'll be benches and a little place to stop and rest, have a bite, and keep on walking some more. It's going to go all the way out to eventually to 288 if we can get out there. Got a lot of future work to do in that area, and the Parks Department, they started with Winterfest. We've already had that this year, Paws in the Park, summer concerts, 4th of July freedom events, trick-or-treat trails. Kids, if you haven't been with one of the fish, they do the Kid Fish Fest out in front of a Bass Pro in the little pond out there. They loaded up, and so you have to get there early if you want to get a place in line for that group. And Hometown Christmas Festival. When we talk about the future of Pearland, of course, you have to admit that the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And if you're going to prepare for the future of Pearland, there are a number of things you got to do. You got to do a little planning, you got to do some things. One of them you desperately need is a to-do list. And I'm not going to read all of those. I don't try to read the slide. I try to tell you what the slide says. But, you know, we got to continue making Pearland a very special place to live and work, and we need to continue our partnerships with the people who count, state, local, state, and federal, and planning for the museums and the finer amenities that you want in a destination and future city. And you also need to continue to manage your tax dollars. We try to do the lowest possible tax rate and still do the best possible product. And I think we're reaching that pretty well. You're also going to need to recognize the challenges are out there. Big challenge coming up, and that's the Panama Canal will be finished in 2014. There are going to be these humongous boats that come in, and I suspect that between Freeport, Port of Freeport, Port of Houston, that we're going to be the first ones they're going to want to stop in, because we're in the distribution link to Central America, Central United States. We need to watch and be aware of that. We need to work on transportation solutions, recognize we're going to get a fair share of what the demographers are telling us will be about Los Angeles dumped on top of Houston area, 4,000 people. That's over the next 15 to 20 years. We're going to get our fair share of those like everybody else. We're going to be ready for it. And we need to be sure that we manage our growth, quality of life, and the things that make us a very special type of community. Because my job as mayor hasn't changed much. I still try to do the best I can. I believe that wherever I go, I talk about Pearland. And there are people that know about Pearland all over the United States. Now, they didn't know whether it was Pearl Land or Pearland. But I don't care what they call it as long as they know we're here. But we got to remember that, I always remember that I work for you. My job is to make sure that you have a quality city, a place that we could always be proud of, and a place that is, I hope at the end of the day, and I hope when you leave here today that you'll say, you know, I'm glad I live in Pearland, because it's such a very special place. My job is to make sure that when you leave, when you say, I'm glad I live in Pearland, that we've covered the things that make you very special. And that's all, folks. Tune in. Pearland is a very special place. Thank you all so much for being here. You've been a wonderful, wonderful audience. I appreciate you. Appreciate you.